Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Easy Talk English podcast. I'm Josh, your host, and my wonderful co-host Jacey. Hi Jacey.
And I'm Jacey. Today, we're tackling a topic that many of us struggle with, vocabulary. Are you tired of feeling stuck with the same old words?
I know I am. But don't worry, we are here to help. We have 22 clever hacks to learn new words quickly and confidently.
Let's jump right in. Our first hack is all about context.
Yes, context is crucial when learning new vocabulary. It's not enough to just memorize a word. You need to see it in action.
Exactly. For example, if you learn the word exuberant, don't just write it down. Try to find a sentence that uses it, like, the children were exuberant during the festival.
That's a great example. When you learn a word in context, your brain has something to latch on to. It makes it easier to remember.
Right. And if you can, try to create your own sentences with a new word. This way, you are making it personal and relevant to you.
Yes. And here's a tip. When you write down a new word, also note where you learned it.
Like, you could write down the book you were reading, the page number, or even the person who taught you the word.
Exactly. This helps your brain create connections between the word and the situation in which you learned it.
So, if you learn the word meticulous while reading a book about art, write that down. It helps you remember the word more effortlessly.
And it's a great way to review later. You can look back and see not just the word, but also the context in which you learned it.
Yes, this method makes vocabulary learning much more effective.
Now, let's move on to our second hack, synchronize audio with text.
This is a fantastic one. When you listen to a word while reading it, it helps you remember it better.
Exactly. You can use subtitled audio, like podcasts, movies, or songs. When you hear the words and see them at the same time, it reinforces your learning.
Right. As a beginner or intermediate learner, listening without a script can be tough. You might miss important words and phrases.
Yes. But with subtitles or a script, you can catch those words and understand them better. It's like having a safety net while you learn.
And it's not just about hearing the words. It's about seeing how they fit into sentences and conversations.
Exactly. This method helps you acquire new vocabulary more effectively.
Now, let's talk about our third hack. Prioritize yourself first.
Yes. Focus on words that are relevant to you. Think about your personal interests, academic needs, or profession.
That's so important. You'll waste time and energy if you only learn words that don't matter to you.
Right. For example, if you are interested in cooking, learn words related to food and recipes.
Yes. When you learn words that are useful for you, constructing sentences becomes much easier.
And you'll find yourself using those words in conversations more naturally.
Exactly. Now, let's move on to our fourth hack, combine words.
This is a fun one. Try to create associations between newly acquired words.
Yes, you can link them together by writing short texts. For example, express your opinion on something, write about recent experiences, or even create a fictional story.
That's a great way to practice. If you have a short vocabulary list, writing a story using those words can help you memorize them.
And it makes learning more enjoyable. You are not just memorizing, you're being creative.
Exactly. So, to recap, always learn new words in context is crucial. Synchronize audio with text, prioritize words that matter to you, and combine words by writing short texts.
And remember, the more connections you make, the easier it will be to remember those words.
Let's dive right in. Our fifth hack is to simplify complex words.
Yes. When you come across a big word, don't let it intimidate you. Break it down into smaller parts.
Exactly. For example, take the word unbelievable. You can break it down into believe, and able.
That's a great way to tackle it. Understanding the parts of the word can help you grasp its meaning better.
And if you research the etymology, or the origin of the word, it can make it even easier to remember.
Right. Knowing that means not, believe is the action, and able means capable of, can help you understand that unbelievable means not capable of being believed.
Exactly. Deconstructing words like this makes them less daunting and much easier to understand.
Now, let's move on to our sixth hack: expand your study methods.
Yes. It's important to use a variety of methods to increase your exposure to new vocabulary.
For example, you could listen to a song that contains the word, read a book or an article featuring it, and write sentences using the word.
And don't forget to test yourself. Try to recall the word later.
Switching things up keeps your brain engaged and makes it easier to retain the information.
Absolutely. Now, let's talk about our seventh hack. Keep a notebook handy.
Yes, always carry a notebook with you. When you hear a new word, write it down.
Record the date you heard it, where you found it, and the context in which it was used.
This requires minimal effort but can significantly boost your brain's ability to recall the information later.
Plus, it's a great way to track your progress over time.
Exactly. Now, let's move on to our eighth hack: imagine the word.
This is especially helpful for visual learners. Try to create a mental image that represents the word.
Yes. For example, if you learn the word gargantuan, you might picture a giant, oversized monster.
The more action-packed or exaggerated the image, the better. It makes the word more memorable.
And you can even attach a story to that image. For instance, imagine the gargantuan monster trying to fit into a tiny car.
That's a hilarious image. It will definitely help you remember the word.
So, to recap, simplify complex words by breaking them down, expand your study methods to engage different skills, keep a notebook handy to record new words, and imagine the word to create memorable mental images.
And remember, the more creative and engaging your methods, the easier it will be to learn and remember new vocabulary.
Absolutely, Josh. I love the idea of using creative methods for vocabulary learning.
Let's jump right in. Our ninth hack is to set a target.
Yes, setting a target can really help you stay motivated. It appeals to our competitive instincts.
Exactly. Choose a sustainable number of words you can commit to learning each day.
For example, you might decide to learn 5 new words a day.
And keep track of your progress. You can use a program like Microsoft Excel or just a simple notebook.
That's a great idea. Recording your success and failure rates helps you see how you are doing over time.
And there's nothing more satisfying than seeing a visual representation of your progress. It keeps you motivated.
Now, let's move on to our 10th hack: regular practice maintains skills.
Yes. It's important to understand the difference between passive and active vocabulary.
Right. Your passive vocabulary consists of words you know but don't use often.
On the other hand, your active vocabulary includes words you can recall and use at will.
Even native speakers experience this. Sometimes they know a word but can't recall it in conversation.
Exactly. To move words from your passive vocabulary to your active vocabulary, you need to use them more often.
This means greater exposure through reading and listening exercises, and making a conscious effort to use them in conversation.
So, if you learn a new word, try to use it in a sentence or two during your day.
Yes, this practice helps solidify the word in your memory.
Now, let's talk about our 11th hack, the clarification effect.
This is a powerful one. Teaching someone else the word can really help you learn it better.
Yes. When you teach, you identify gaps in your own knowledge.
It forces you to study until you reach that aha moment of mastery.
Plus, Teaching creates connections between the new content and what you already know, which helps you remember it.
Exactly. So, if you learn a new word, try explaining it to a friend or family member.
Now, let's move on to our 12th hack. 2 heads are better than 1.
Yes. Enlist the help of a family member or a friend to learn new words together.
There's nothing like the pressure of someone else potentially seeing you fail to motivate you to memorize more words.
You can incorporate drill learning into the process. For example, ask your partner to give you a word in your native language, and then you provide the translation.
And don't forget to mix things up. Have your partner test you in the opposite direction too.
Yes. Randomizing the order of the words helps you master the content inside out.
So, to recap, set a target for the number of words you want to learn. Practice regularly to maintain your skills. Use the clarification effect by teaching someone else, and then enlist a friend to help you learn.
The more you engage with the words, the easier it will be to remember them.
We have even more hacks to discuss with you.
Thanks for joining us. If you found these tips helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. And let us know in the comments how you learn new vocabulary.
Let's dive into our 13th hack. Categorize rigorously.
Yes, if you're preparing for a test or exam, organizing your vocabulary can be super helpful.
Exactly. One effective method is the chunk method. This means dividing your vocabulary into smaller groups.
Right. Instead of trying to memorize a long list of words all at once, focus on mastering a small section first.
And don't forget to revise regularly. This helps ensure you haven't forgotten what you've already learned.
Yes, it's like building a strong foundation. Once you have a solid grasp of one chunk, you can move on to the next.
And remember to change the order in which you learn the vocabulary. This keeps your brain engaged and helps with retention.
Great point. Now, let's move on to our 14th hack, observe everything.
This is a fun one. Why stop at just one word when you can learn many?
Exactly. In English, a single word can appear in different parts of speech. For example, run can be a verb, but it can also be a noun.
Right. And sometimes, words have non-literal or colloquial meanings that can make learning easier.
Yes. Once you learn how to identify different parts of speech, it becomes easier to remember how to use each form of a word.
So, keep your eyes open and observe how words are used in different contexts.
Now, let's talk about our 15th hack, search engine collection.
This is a great tip. When you encounter a new word, type it into Google Images.
You might find an image that you can easily associate with the word, which can boost your memory.
Yes, visuals can make a big difference in how we remember things.
Now, let's move on to our 16th hack, use your native language.
This is a smart strategy. Look for words in your target language that have been borrowed from your native language.
Yes, this can help you make connections and remember the new words more easily.
And it's a great way to leverage what you already know.
Now, let's discuss our 17th hack, resource optimization, or the 80-20 rule.
This is a powerful concept. The idea is that about 20% of what you learn is truly valuable and contributes to your progress.
Right. So, if you focus on these high-gain items, you'll see a faster improvement in your language skills.
Exactly. There's no point in memorizing complex vocabulary if you can't use it in everyday conversations.
And if you don't apply what you learn regularly, you'll forget it quickly.
Yes. It's important to build a solid vocabulary base before diving into complex grammar rules.
So, to recap, categorize your vocabulary rigorously using the chunk method. Observe everything to learn multiple forms of words. Use search engines to find images that help you remember. Leverage your native language. And focus on the 20% of vocabulary that will give you the most benefit.
The more you engage with the words in meaningful ways, the easier it will be to remember them.
We have more hacks to share to you.
Let's dive into our 18th hack, simulate native speaker fluency.
Yes. When you watch films or listen to music, pay attention to appealing phrases.
Exactly. Try to note down those phrases and use them in conversation as soon as possible.
Native speakers often use phrases that aren't in textbooks. They mix in idioms and phrasal verbs, which can make your speech sound more natural.
Right. For example, if you hear a cool phrase in a movie, drop it into your next conversation.
You might surprise a native speaker with your ability to use those metaphorical or idiomatic expressions.
Now, let's move on to our 19th hack, confusing friends.
Yes, be on the lookout for false friends. These are words that sound or look similar to English words but have different meanings.
For example, the Spanish word embarazada looks like embarrassed, but it actually means pregnant.
Exactly. These false friends can lead to funny misunderstandings, so it's important to be aware of them.
Now, let's talk about our 20th hack, spaced learning.
This technique involves exposing yourself to new information at regular intervals.
Yes. The idea is that words that take longer to stick should appear more frequently until you master them.
You can create your own flashcards or use an app that focuses on spaced repetition, like Memrise.
Research shows that this method is very effective for memorizing large quantities of words.
And at advanced levels, you can acquire vocabulary through osmosis by consuming content targeted at native speakers.
That's a great point. This way, you naturally encounter words often enough to learn them without even trying.
Now, let's move on to our 21st hack, read consistently.
Yes. Consuming word-rich content like books, podcasts, films, and TV series is key.
One language learner found that most of the words he knew were picked up incidentally. He didn't even try to memorize them.
Exactly. Just by being exposed to the language frequently, those words became part of his vocabulary.
Whenever you come across a valuable word, save it. You can use a digital app or a good old notebook.
It doesn't matter which method you choose, but digital tools can gamify the learning process, making it more fun.
And make sure to choose content that aligns with your interests. This makes it easier to remember the words.
Yes. The more you encounter a word, the more likely it is to become part of your active vocabulary.
Now, let's discuss our final hack, feel the challenge.
This is all about moving vocabulary from passive knowledge to active use. Engage in conversation in your target language as often as possible.
Yes, those moments of stress when you can't recall a word will push you to seek it out and remember it.
It's true. The struggle can actually help you learn faster.
So, to recap, simulate native speaker fluency by using phrases from films and music, watch out for false friends, use spaced learning techniques, read consistently to absorb vocabulary, and embrace the challenge of conversation.
The more you practice and engage with the language, the quicker you learn.
We've shared a lot of great hacks today, and we hope you're excited to start using them.
Thanks for joining us. If you found these tips helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more language hacks on Easy Talk English.
And let us know in the comments how you learn new vocabulary.
Until next time, keep learning and expanding your vocabulary.
Bye everyone. See you in the next episode.
Bye, all.